Well, cheers, aka Powders. We're back. We're trying to do what we can before I run off to the London town. So, cheers to international travel. I didn't realize, but London's about a 5 hour flight. For some reason, I thought it was much, much longer. I thought it was maybe like a 7 hour flight. So, that's good news in the world of Acapad. We're just trying to get going here. I'm continuing the comic book backing board series. Last go around, we did Warlash from CFD Visual Anarchy Comics. That is one heck of a comic book name, comic book company name. We're doing Heroic Publishing, Spotlight. Excuse me, Tickle, independent publishers group Spotlight. And we have two characters here. I wish I had read this. I have a pile, but we got two. It's like I have a pile. Sometimes I think I get through things. Sometimes I don't, which is why you always have to reorganize your piles. So we have Death Row and X-187. I guess that's a reference to George Lucas's THX 1138, maybe not, or 187. Oh, I guess 187 is the police call. Yeah, when someone gets murdered, it's a 187, right? These are two gnarly looking characters. The rest of this, like the quality, like this is the problem with even today. You get independent guys that clearly want skin in the game. Like these guys are. Let me just give me 1 second here. Let me go live on right here. Wow, this is crazy. So I'm going live on Insta, and it's just not looking good. It's really not. We're going to end it on Instagram because it just doesn't. Maybe it does right here. We're trying to line it up here, guys. It's not consistent. It's really not. So here's the thing. You see this a lot with independent comic book publishing, where you have one that this is pencils by C. Stroman. Like clearly C. Stroman here. Craig Storman. Like this guy clearly wants skin in the game. Like this is a full court press effort. These are, I mean, they're of the time, but they're also of like independent comic books of the time. So it's not like it's perfect, but the intent is there. There's reflections, there's gear, there's shadows, there's a great pose. And often in independent comics, like here, this punch here, like that is a borrowed pose. We've seen this, right? We want to say, dare we say that's a Jim Lee pose. But we get like this full effort. And this guy's like, look, man, like notice me. Like hire me, notice me. I'm ready. And then we get these mooks over here. Kevin Tuma inks. So Craig is trying to ink this. And we see he doesn't have a lot to work with. But we get that like a clear divide of what is a comic and what's not, and what people like to see. And you get this because everyone in independent comics is under the delusion that their ideas are good, that they kind of understand things. Here's a Flair subscription. I believe, like, right, still character still going today. And this is frustrating. This is where it's also where when you do this level of work, which I think this is like high level for black and white independent comics for the day, you get this level of work. And then your contemporaries are just barely getting pages done. And this is where you have to back off and say, look, can this Craig Kai Stormon, can he just draw the whole thing and just at least make it look consistent. And if it takes a while, it takes a while. Like, who cares about your deadline when it looks like garbage? So we're drawing X187 and Death Blow today. We have to draw these guys. Usually these have been taking 1 hour because they're highly detailed. So bear with me. I'm going to try and be a little bit quicker today. But we're gearing up in the household. We're gearing up for London Town. We draw on the smooth side too, by the way, aka Patters. Just so you guys know. I mean, these characters are so effing cool. And you know what? I'm going to just use this right here. Like right here. Like, that's what we're going to emulate. Now, I'm doing this with destroyed markers, by the way, guys. And by destroyed, I mean, I don't know the quality of them, so we need like a scratch pad. And if you can hear, I'm digging markers out of my huge pile. Now, all of this is going to be organized when I leave. So when I get back, I can kind of just sit down and rock and roll. Look, Death Blow 1, cover and trading card, super high art book. So, okay, so this is cover and trading card here. So, I don't, like, I know Heroic, maybe they did that Legacy book. If you guys remember, Legacy was a little bit of a Superman analog in the 90s. I believe he was purple. Just adjusting my seat real quick, aka Patters. Give me 1 second. Alrighty. Oh, we've got a couple comments. Sorry, guys. Tank! OMG. Tanks, guys. Guys, Tank is in the house, guys. Tank, where you been, dude? You gotta let me know. Where have you been? And we got the great John Emp. John, how we doing, dude? Nice stuff on some of that Stephen Platt. Appreciate it. Always fun to see. Yeah, Joe, I know. Joe, it's okay, bud. Joe, we can always pick it up where we dropped off. I know, Joe Dent in the house. I love this. Look at this. All the friends. See, these are all the people. Tank, what have you been working on, bud? Do you need any help with your projects? And what about you, John, too? I know you've been doing some practice stuff, right? Always stay working. But I don't know what you've been working on either, John. And forgive me, both of you guys. It's just been absolute madness for me. This last week, just with Thanksgiving, I had to came back from a second Thanksgiving last night, like full on. And you know what? I hate? I hate that there was no football on. There's like no, there is something, but the triple header was so nice. And there was that Dallas KC game that was like really like the game. Just for Dallas and for KC, like high stakes. But either way, guys, I'm trying to. We're like an hour out from the Qatar F1 race. And I'm debating if I should leave here to watch it or I can watch it while I'm sitting down. So but yeah, we've just been busy with the sports stuff. I've been trying to get through Thanksgiving. I had to do my baked apples twice. And they are absolutely labor intensive, guys. Like they literally take all morning. Even if you're making 1 or 30, it kind of doesn't matter. but they are labor intensive, but people love them. So I think people just like having them around because they're also like a contrast to like pie. So we're changing some of the way our boy here, Craig, did the armament for the one side of the face. And I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. He's got this awesome like side mohawk. And we're trying to sketch as little as possible just so we can we'll do these like hanging cables. But what I was trying to get at is I try and sketch as little as possible because really like the paper, it's coated, so it's so freaking smooth. It's hard to erase. But if you kind of, Sharpie over it, or like in a way, you can argue we're going to ink this. I guess we can make that argument. But the inking process should like hide a lot of the pencil lines. So, and I'm trying to make this guy right now be like a little bit more wrinkly. Like, I don't want to say decrepit, but we're just trying to make him like used up. We do a lot of our characters in this style. From my point of view, it mimics some of the 90s like intention back then, which was like detail. Like people were just in love with the detail of everyone that came out through the 90s. And if you weren't like a detailed guy, you were kind of like a sap. And if you want like a good example of that, look at Mark Bagley, right? Like came up, not very detailed, kind of, became a really good company guy, but no one really cared about him. And he became, one of the workhorses of the era. And he's still going to this day, right? And give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to try and look up. Oh, always remember, my intention here is to always draw first and interact second. Because I don't feel like there's not much to be gained being an entertainer and trying to illustrate at the same time. You got to do one or the other. I'd rather be a stronger illustrator than entertainer. I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that agree with that. And I'm not knocking anyone that wants to do both or thinks they can do both. This is just me, my life, my personal preferences. He's got this wild hair. Like his hair is almost like only on one side of his head. Let's try and get some of this going though. So the problem with this, and just what the position is Like I'm talking about like where the hair is supposed to be on his head. The problem is, hold up here, and I'm trying to, is that it's hard for me to make it look like layered and full. So it's almost like all the tricks don't apply to the hair right now. We're gonna do our best. See what I mean, guys? Like that's a very and maybe it works from like a profile, but a 3/4, it's tough. So maybe we can cut some of it into the other side of the head. But I think we have enough here. Alrighty. It's dangerous sometimes because sometimes when you get that pencil working, it's tough to kind of let go. The great thing about the smooth side of the backing boards, and excuse any shadow, is that you can have a depleted Sharpie, and that backing board is still absorbing it. Because it doesn't have to run into the paper. Everything's so smooth, the ink lies on top of the paper. So you get more out of your Sharpies. Let's just catch up here with the boys. Yeah, John, real quick, if you're still there, are those pencil blue lines or are you just blue lining the inks? I tried to zoom in. I couldn't tell, but I did want to ask you that. Board game, jeez, Tank. Where are we going to sell the board game? Or are we going crowdfunded? But board games just seem to be a lot of work. I'm so bad with board games too, Tank. You would probably hate playing with me with any board game other than chess. Yeah, nice. Toasting leftover. Homemade bread guts. Yes, bread guts, guys, aka Tank is talking about stuffing. You're working from scans. Yeah, but they're ink scans, though, right? Are they inked or penciled scans? That's the that just just being curious. Because like John, I like when I practice, I'd like to do it from the penciled scans because you can kind of compare what your decisions are versus someone else, and it's a black hole because you can spend all day with a penciled piece of artwork and and see how someone else like handled it, and it is like you're almost just like I have to redo it. I made wrong choices, and it's all of that stuff, dude. It's a little bit of a black hole, but like some pencilers are, and sometimes it's like the style. Like we don't see the penciler style in every like page or cover, because a lot of times the style gets it gets redone by the inker. And part of my revelation for that is when I saw a lot of Ditko pencils, where I was like, oh my god, like he's not even defining his forms, like, or picking out his blacks. Like he's leaving all of that up to the inker. But then you have someone like Platt, where I believe, right, there's maybe Prophet number 4, Prophet number 5 has some of his pencils, and you just see how like maddening that it almost looks like graphite, and it's just like, holy crap, dude! Like, where do we even begin? Like the Platt stuff is so wild looking, but it's also like not sustainable for a monthly book. Like, I'm sure those guys had a little bit of a money pop, but Rob Liefeld would have been better sticking with Panosian on Prophet and other books, and drifting away from Platt, because Platt just can't keep deadlines with that style. It's just impossible. And that's the pain of the '90s stuff. Like, so many people hold up that artwork, but I don't know for what cause, because it's hard to, like, you just can't. It's almost like ECW wrestling, where like the wrestling is so hard on the wrestler himself or herself, that you can't do that every single night. You can't, like, you can't do that a couple of days a week, right? Like, you kind of have to pick and choose what some of your spots are with the ECW style, and that's kind of why it went away. And I get it, like, like the underground or the independent people picked it up, but again, how many of those guys have long careers? Not many. We're gonna give this guy to a little bit of a grin. And I'm just a little bit of commentary. I am just moving around this. As open ended as possible. I'm not focusing on any aspect. I'm just trying to get the lines where they have to go. Here we go. Tank, do you have a name for that board game? I know you were showing it to us. Oh, okay. Yeah, John, it looks like, from my perspective, it looks like those were tapered lines on that Combat and Prophet. So it's kind of like from my view, it's just like you're kind of like retracing what the inker's already done. But some of those are tough. I think that profit page, I think that did come out at the time as pencils though, but I don't know if it was complete. But Platt pencils are right. Like I'm just trying to think of, because even his like Fighting American was penciled. That was like during the awesome stuff where they kind of destroyed comic book inking. That's a topic of an upcoming video too, guys. If you're really interested in the fall of comic book inking as a art form, it started with Rob Liefeld and John Romita Jr. in '97 and '98, and the two focus books for that is Thor Ryan from the Amalgam promotion and Rejects. And Rejects was Rob Liefeld's probably like last great like big idea work that he tried to like get out there. That collapsed when Awesome collapsed. But yes, Platt during that time, his Fighting American was all pencil. And then from that point, he did like a really bad issue of Wolverine, which will be profiled on the channel. And then he did Wolverine Cable with Joe Casey. That was a like long time in the making. That was one of those books too. You write about that book for a stretch. Yeah, and you kind of want to say too when it comes to the assignment, since a lot of these companies, and this is stuff like you really like. There's not enough journalism on it, but if you're a freelancer and you're on Marvel's like call list or like an editor's like Rolodex, you can say no to things, and you might be busy enough to you can say no, and there's like a trusted circle of people to work with. Like you have to say that people knew working with Platt's pencils was a no-go. And I think that's why too. Like, like people didn't flock to work with him when he was out of Extreme Studios. Because they knew his speed. And then it's like, that messes with your reputation and paycheck. And a lot of times, like not all the info gets transferred. Like you think there's things known in the industry and you'll be fine, and there's a certain level of person that will look out for you, but that person can leave. But you got a lot of changing of the guards in all of comic book '90s, which is like when I talk about the loss of institutional knowledge. So like you think there's like reputations too that can protect you, help you, or even work against you, but sometimes that stuff just goes away because people can leave a position, and that's it. It could not net it. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Oh, game. Oh, okay. There's a gaming crowdfunder. Cool. Money for advertising. Yeah, that's probably like your best bet, Frank. Tank. Just pour in advertising for it. I've been teasing it, but 2026 is going to be the return of my social media ads and all this stuff. Like Team AKA Pad like we're ready to kind of make a another push. We just got enough in the pipeline, and when I got things in the pipeline, I can do more drawing. So that's kind of like what the goal is. But I like hearing that, Tank. That is music to my ears. Well, keep me posted, dude. Like, let me know. And you too, John. Like anything you're working on, just let me know. Keep me in the loop. If there's something that I think I can do for you, I will let you know. But that's why, it pays to keep me in the loop on that. Trying to keep up here, guys. There we go. So we're just. I think I can see now too if who's coming in for mobile and not. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean, it's also too. It's like to talk about that skin trade stuff real quick. Yeah, I'm not 100% familiar with that, John. So it's not going to be totally accurate when I speak on it, but um, there's a like when I say there's like a lost art form of comic book inking. Like I mean it. Like I'm not trying to like be clickbait or anything. I think we're within a generation that has lost the eye that it takes to identify good comic book inking, because a lot of people will hire an inker, and what they need is someone to uh, outline artwork, to make artwork black that it can kind of reproduce better, and that's not comic book inking. And there's a little bit of a trade-off though when it comes to just on like the conversation on services, because the inkers now they're like almost like too detailed to have an inker, and that could seem like paradoxical, but but give me 1 second. I'm just trying to get some of my thoughts and complete this at the same time. Yeah, so but that's kind of where also I believe that most comic book pencilers now, like if the guy's digital, just have him like ink his own stuff, and if it's digital, it should eliminate the inker with no price shift. Like it's the same cost, and that's from my perspective, that's a very weird thing to what the industry like never captured, especially indie comics. I thought indie would have been like on top of that. It like if you have yourself a digital artist and he can complete like colorable line work, like colorist ready line work, like what do you need an inker for? I just don't get it. I think people waste time and money chasing the inker stuff, because to do a book quickly, like before, it would be the penciler would be loose to meet the deadline to hand it off to the inker, and it would be up to the inker to kind of complete the rest of the look, like the look of the book. And inkers kind of were like, yeah, kind of like you can say they were like unsung heroes. They were more important than the colorists. So it's really weird. Like it's a weird thing. And that, and again too, guys, like this is my perspective. It's not gospel, but we all know it should be, right? The credo of Acapad. And if you don't like it, what the hell with you, right? Like just so too, like to accentuate the point, like you guys saw it here, like when I penciled, like I penciled for myself to ink it, right? I ain't do tight pencils. I don't have to do tight pencils. If I work with an inker, like I expect, like, right, like they're supposed to, like, sometimes like this, a little bit tighter would be handed off to an inker, like what you guys see here. So, like I don't know. Yeah, games are a lot of work. Like, are you a big gamer, Tank? Like, do you have like a game room and kind of? I know some people have like just like shelves of all the games, and they kind of keep like a parts box. And there was a gaming bar not far from me, like probably like a 10-minute walk, and it just closed down recently. And we were popping there from time to time. And then Philly just had PAX Unplugged, which is the gamer side of PAX, where I guess like the convention center is open all night and people come and go playing games, which is kind of cool. But it's just like a convention hall full of board games, and the people there to teach you how to play and go through the rules and stuff like that. Kind of cool stuff, but also not my bag, baby. Oh, and John, what is happening with that 90s book? Remember we were talking about that? We were kind of chit-chatting about Codename Strike Force. And I guess like this year too, I should get a little bit better with supporting crowd-funded books maybe and projects. Spread around some of that AKA pad goodness. I never got into the habit of tracking and looking at stuff like that. It's like, for me, if it doesn't happen on Twitter, like I kind of don't see it. And I think, that's probably bad. We all have faults here, guys, right? Yeah. No, I hear you, John. Yeah, it's just kind of like it becomes with the conversation of, like, are you building like mind muscle connection, or you kind of uh building like the hand eye coordination, you know like I will have. And just John, and I'm not like, not, this isn't directed to you specifically, but Omer was in one of my chats not long ago. I don't know if he spoke about this, and it was one of my Sunday night breaking the Sabbath chats, and which I'm still going to try and do tonight. And I was practicing drawing vehicles, and he kind of made a comment. He said something about like tracing, like, oh, you should just like trace to learn. And that kind of opened up a little bit of a discussion on, like, like, what is that exactly? Like, when someone traces to learn, does that help? because there's a lot of drawing and illustration that is like you have to memorize. There's so much like I think to be a good illustrator, you have to memorize as much as a lawyer or a doctor, or even more. Like I believe that there should be things that you can draw from memory. You should have, like if you got to look up a reference, it's got to be a reference that you may not have never like experienced. Meaning, a Civil War cannon from a Pacific like era, and or you're right, and you might just be like, all right, like I never learned about that. I don't know. Let me look it up so I'm accurate. But there should be like a chunk of things, like even historical, that your memory can kind of serve on. So Omar and I, we were kind of like going back and forth on some of that because, like like he used to teach and stuff, right? Like I think he used to be an art instructor, and like him and I think we're on the opposite ends of that, where he thinks you can, and I'm saying you can't, and I'm saying you shouldn't. Uh, it's different when you're on like a deadline and you're working on the book or working on the project, and like you kind of have to get something done. Like that's different than illustrative ability, and you kind of have to separate that, right? Like it's kind of like what we do on deadlines versus like the power of you as an illustrator. Like how uh reliable are you to like kind of come up with things and be imaginative and invent stuff as you're drawing, because that's kind of that's a part of the 90s stuff that I think a lot of people miss what they love about it, which is like the idea of these guys like inventing on the page. And the 90s kind of rooted that out. They showed us only a few guys could invent on the page on that level, and a few of them had sustainable careers on top of that. So it's like a double whammy. So I got this video coming up where, like I'm pointing out the difference between like Rob Liefeld tracing President Truman and Jim Lee drawing Dan Quayle from from a photo reference, but it's like the ability of like one to trace versus one to recreate on the spot. And I think it's a little bit telling, but it's a very I hate the term, it's a nuanced video, because it's a topic it's hard to breach the topic because the audience kind of has to be a little bit conditioned for it, and that's kind of where just as a video release for me, I know it's a little bit of a wash. Like it's just not going to do well. But I think it's a larger point of learning to illustrate is you have to memorize. So you memorize by doing, like not by tracing. Not saying that's what you're doing, John. It's just I'm just making that point. And some of this too is me, airing things out for video so I can be a little bit more vocal on them. Here we go. I mean, we got something happening here. A little bit of a close up for you guys. We're a couple minutes from Qatar. I may have to go, guys, to watch some F1. Keep in mind, I'll be watching F1 and working on to give you guys a little bit of a preview. Like one upcoming title in 2026 and the other upcoming. We're coming out of December like with completed issues of Uzi Suzy and a lot of things like ready to just start shipping and taking orders on. Bella Torres, rescue and recovery. That's right. I remember. Super Dad over here making games. I love it. John, you're a father too, right? Yeah, I mean, so I think that's a part of it too. Look, dude, John, we're in to speak on this real quick. We're in a little bit of a trap where the audience accepts traced assets. There's like no honor among thieves right now when it comes to the illustration of comic books. There's deadline stuff, meaning what however it looks good on the way out, just get it done. Get it done. And then there's like kind of like what I was just like speaking of. And I think that's where when I don't know, like when it comes to like um the illustrator himself or herself, right? Like I think there's like a fog and mirrors on credibility and things like that, dude. Like, look, we saw the Rippaverse get totally exposed for that, and it's still going, dude. Like you can say what you want about dipping sales figures and things like that about Rippa, but that's a major company that does traced 3D assets that I don't agree with, that I think are disingenuous. They properly and accurately get called out for it, and they keep going. So, what does that tell you about the audience, right? It's always that line in Patton, George C. Scott, where he says like the trick of the other country is to convince their soldiers that they're fighting for their country and they're not fighting for their lives, right? I'm paraphrasing a little bit there. And that doesn't take away it like adds to the nobility of the soldier, like that statement. Soldiers fight for themselves, they fight to defeat the enemy, not really fighting for country, not fighting for a cause. And I think when it comes to a little bit what you're saying there, John, I think that I do feel like that applies. Also a tough broad point to make though, which I feel like every time I address it, I'm not successful with it. But John, I like your style though. Yeah. Like I think you have like a like you definitely have a style of your own. Yeah, Pixel. I'm working on Death Row from Heroic Publishing. That's this guy. I'm trying to do what I can. There's a race coming up. But yeah, he's got this like really cool like 3-page like story where he's just like shooting the hell out of people. It's like awesome stuff, man. What year was this, guys? 93. But John, too, I saw you right. You're doing overhead shots. If you're overhead, John, I will have you on. Like, let me just get through London. I would love to overhead draw with you though, or even ink. Like whatever you're doing, I would like to kind of echo it. I think I got a little bit done with draw streams that don't do overhead shots. I don't understand the significance of that like at all. Um, I think people in the age of AI paranoia, I think people want to see your work. I think publishers want to see your work. I think people just want to know you're like a real person and you can handle your own materials. Let me check my phone, guys. What we got here? We got Grubby. Is Grubby new? Oh, holy shit, guys! I'm sorry. We are missing a lot of chats. Oh yeah. Okay. Pixel Forge in the house. I know Pixel Forge always fantastic. Yeah. No, I think it's Yeah, I agree with that, John. I agree. Like you should kind of like what you're saying there to me is more of the craftsmanship side. There's a craftsmanship to illustration, and that's like you knowing your materials, right? Like I think an illustrator should even have a process to gauge what they're illustrating on. They should even have a gauge of how their work is being reproduced if that's the case, and adjust their work to the end product. So like that's true, but I also do feel like you have to memorize in order to draw well. And if you're constantly like on your phone and you need like constant references, and I'm not saying you don't need references, like everyone needs reference, but I think there's a barrier to where you're too reliant on references, right? Like for example, like you should be able to illustrate a baseball bat, from like all the angles. And is it going to be perfect the first time? No, but the illustrator can make adjustments with his drawing process to get the right angle to make it look real. Same thing with a car tire, same thing with even a hot dog. And it doesn't mean from time to time you don't need reference. Everyone does. Sometimes you have to pull a reference to get a job done. I mean, I do feel like this guy's looking kind of cool though, right? Pixel. Oh my god, you got Rod Massa, the Delacruz 552. What is up? What's happening on Insta too? Disposable degenerate Mark Iwan. Mark, I love you, buddy. One of my closest friends is right now in our IG room. There we go. Oh. Yeah, I hear you, buddy. John, do you do a lot of sketchbook work? Just out of because I guess I never talked process with you, dude, right? Like this is where I just want to have I guess like a live stream with just you and me would be kind of cool. Because like having you live to pick your brain, I think would be insanely valuable. But yeah, shapes and then reference, right? Like that's kind of. I would love to do a like a drawing show where like you kind of solve problems in real time. Like what needs to get documented for the next wave, like the next generation? Like what needs to get documented to maybe get more illustrators off of digital only and into like more practical, or becoming more hybrid, right? Like like that's valuable. Like that's the stuff I feel like is insanely important. Because like that's what I care about. That's what your boy cares about. But John, that video, the Rob Liefeld one and the John Romita Jr. one, that's dropping while I'm it might drop. No, maybe it'll drop when I come back. That might be like 2 weeks out. Just a FYI. All right, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm rocking and rolling. Aha. What up, John? John's becoming famous now. John's like the famous guy. Yeah. See, I would love to do a stream with you, John. If you want to do like a sketchbook tour, I would love to see that. Yeah, there you go. I mean, Tank is trying to make $1 million selling a board game, but that guy has nuggets of wisdom. That's why I love him. Yeah, and Tank mostly agrees with me. Mostly, right? That's why we like Tank. Yeah, kind of back and forth. Yeah, that's a little bit too. Yeah, like there's discussions even on this, but guys, I hate to do it. I gotta check my app. I gotta watch F1. I gotta put it on my TV. Let me see here. I'm checking the F1 info right now. Live now, Grand Prix. Grand Prix live, guys. I gotta go. I love you. Rock and roll. John, keep going, dude.